The president watched in horror as his wife left the house with her 3-day-old daughter, followed by countless bodyguards. Up to that moment, he couldn't believe what was happening. He rushed to the hospital room, but his wife had already vanished without a trace. It was then that the president realized his wife's identity was not so simple, and that he had completely shattered her heart. 3 days earlier, the woman had nearly died in childbirth, with no family by her side. When she called her mother-in-law, she found out that the entire family was attending a violin concert held by the manipulative woman. Before the mother-in-law could say a word, the president, her son, whom she had raised with so much sacrifice, told her to hang up and not interrupt the concert. Upon hearing that, the mother-in-law hung up without letting the woman speak. The nurse was also helpless. Without a signature, the surgery couldn't proceed. With no other option, the woman pinned her hopes on her husband, who was returning from a business trip. But when he answered the phone, he too was at the concert. What truly broke her heart was that, upon realizing who was calling, both the mother-in-law and the husband scolded her for disturbing the performance. The woman lost all hope, realizing she had no place in that family. In pain, she signed a surgical consent herself. Fortunately, the operation was a success, but her heart was shattered. She texted her husband to ask for a divorce, stating that he could have their son while she would raise their newborn daughter. Upon returning to her hospital room, she contacted her mentor and expressed her wish to return to the lab. She would no longer sacrifice her career for family. Meanwhile, the concert had just ended, and as they were heading to dinner, the president received a call from an unknown number and learned that the woman had already given birth. He rushed everyone to the hospital, but didn't expect the manipulative woman to seek revenge. She pressed hard on the wife's abdomen. Instinctively, the woman pushed her away lightly, but the other woman pretended to suffer a fracture and screamed in pain. The mother-in-law, seeing this, scolded the wife immediately, and the husband rushed to care for the manipulative woman. The wife could no longer contain her rage and announced her desire for divorce on the spot, demanding everyone leave. Everyone was stunned. The husband thought she only blamed him for missing the birth. He asked the manipulative woman to take his mother and the son home while he stayed to calm his wife. But again, she insisted on divorce. Thinking it was just anger, he told her to rest and promised to come back later. The next day, when he went to visit her, the manipulative woman called, and he left with her. He believed that with a nurse by his wife's side, everything would be fine, unaware that his mother had forgotten to hire one, as she was busy playing mahjong with her friends. The manipulative woman took the opportunity to send a photo to the wife, bragging that she had taken the president with her. The wife looked at the message, and her heart finally broke beyond repair. Meanwhile, the president was frustrated because his son refused to eat. Trying to show off, the manipulative woman gave him chocolate to encourage him to eat steamed egg, knowing full well he was allergic. The president, seeing the boy eat quietly, blamed the wife for spoiling and making him fragile. But suddenly, the boy broke out in hives and desperately cried for his mother. The president called his wife and asked her to do a video call to calm their son. She refused to speak to him and asked him to pass the phone to the boy. Upon hearing that he wanted to watch cartoons, she told him he could do whatever he wanted. She wouldn't control him anymore. At that moment, a group of bodyguards burst into the room, sent by her mentor. They had prepared the best postpartum recovery center, with a professional nanny and 2 assistants to care for her nutrition and the baby. The woman was overwhelmed with emotion. She reflected on how she had given up her dreams for her family and received only indifference and criticism. Yet with just one call, her mentor treated her like a treasure. She looked at the empty ceiling of her room, and her heart ached deeply. She resolved never again to sacrifice herself for anyone. At that very moment, the president was preparing to leave the hospital with his son. The manipulative woman told him that his wife's room was just next door. The boy coldly said he didn't want to see his mother's face. The president didn't correct him and decided to leave. But when he turned around, he froze. There stood his wife, holding their daughter in her arms, followed by a long line of bodyguards.